Hey everybody. What I want to go through today is a template for a kind of document known as a project charter. Now, a project charter is one of the most important project management documents. This is something that contains a lot of the information that you need at the beginning of a project where you're trying to sort things out, figure out what needs to be done, by whom, with what resources, and by what time. So the template that I've shared for you on Canvas is from New York University. And this is a very simple version of a project charter. It's one that you'll need to adapt a little bit to the projects that you would do in this course, but it's something where you can see from this template the kinds of things that are necessary. Now, this is not something that you have to do for the class, but it's a really valuable way for you to make sure that everyone on your team understands what needs to be done, that everyone is clear on what the responsibilities and goals are, and that everyone's just on the same page. So you can see in this project template, you've got the name, the sponsors. This is not something that's really relevant to this project, so those you could cut out. The impact concerns what difference you're thinking of making. This is something that I encourage you to think of for this project, right? What difference are you trying to make? What do you think the goal the project should be? Aside from just trying to get a good grade in the class, which of course you're trying to do, what's the bigger picture? Why might someone find the work that you're doing valuable? You could have here the project team, and you could indicate if there are any different roles or responsibilities that the people have. I'm not going to say what roles people should take, but maybe someone would be a note taker, maybe someone would be a scheduler. I don't really know. Stakeholders is a list of individuals who care about the project. This is something that's really important to take into consideration in the workplace. Very often you want to think about who are the stakeholders, who makes a difference here, whose opinion matters. Something that's worth writing out. So writing a little bit something about the scope of the project. So what's its purpose? You don't really need to write something for the business justification, but it's not a bad idea to think about it. What its objectives are, what measurable things you're trying to accomplish. Deliverables refers to different products or services, or just like what's the end result? What are you giving? What are you producing over the course of your project? Scope indicates what a project will and will not address, what does and does not fall within the purview of what you're doing. This is important because it's very easy for the scope of projects to steadily get larger over time, and suddenly you're doing something much bigger than you initially intended, which you actually aren't able to do very well with the limitations and resources you have. Project milestones concerns the timeline. When do you expect to do X? When do you expect to do Y? And so on. If there are any risks or problems that might get in the way of what you're doing, any constraints, anything that's external to your project that you need to depend upon. Something that's worth considering. Communication strategy concerns how are you going to communicate the results of your product, the results of your project to others. So if you're trying to put something together within this class, trying to put together a profile of some digital tools, how are you going to communicate to me and your classmates the things that you've learned? What's the strategy you're going to try to do? The stuff on sign-off you don't need to worry about, and you can add in notes, anything else that's of relevant to you. This is something that's worth checking out and exploring. By no means feel compelled to use this, but I think it is a good idea to make plans, to establish roles and responsibilities, to clarify timelines as much as possible, and to try to do that early in the project planning process rather than let things take you by surprise. Okay. Good luck, everyone.